Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana again with Expressions Craft Studio, and today I decided I needed to do something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I actually have a reason to make it today. And it's going to be fish scales, dragon scales, whatever you want to call it. And I've done this before. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute, as they say. But I wanted to show you how I do this, and hopefully I can get through this really quickly. Basically, you're going to go into shapes and you're going to use some of these free shapes. So if you do not have an Access subscription to Design Space, you can still use these free shapes. If you scroll down, you'll see the ones that you need the subscription to use, in which case I think this could make a cute, I'll go ahead and select it, a cute scale, and this could make a cute scale. Even this would make a cute scale. So I'm going to show you what you would do with those, but I'm going to just set those aside. You basically do the same thing with these that you would do with these ones that I've already changed to blue. I've made stencils before, and that's actually what I'm going to be doing, is making a stencil, because I need to repaint a little chair that I've had for almost, well, not 21 years, but not far from it. It's probably had it at least 20 years, and I'm going to repurpose it because it's a little bitty rocking chair for a toddler, and I'm expecting a new family member later this fall, and the theme for her room is going to be under the sea. So I need some fish scales in a stencil so that I can repaint the chair, just to make things easier on myself. So basically the easiest thing to do, I'm going to start with the circle. I'm just gonna, let's see, I want the scales to be relatively small, even, let's say, 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to change this to 0.5 up here, and then I'm just going to blow myself way up. Alright, so now I want to duplicate this circle, and I'm going to make that 0.25. And if I center them, I can see, let me change the color on this one. I can see that that's smaller than I want, so I'm going to make it let's do 0.4 just to see. And what I'm looking for is how big is that going to make my, I don't know if it's the border is the right word, but the width of my scale, let's put it that way. So I think that's going to be good, because I do have this enlarged. So I'm going to select both of those and center it. So align and center. And then I'm going to slice. And what I'm working with now is this here. This open circle, I guess, if you will. So I'm going to take this square here. I like squares for slicing stuff off. And I'm going to kind of center it there somewhere. Let's try that. And I'm going to select both pieces and slice. And I'm just going to get rid of that. I'll make another one if I need it. So now I've got my fish scale. Now to me that's upside down, so I'm going to turn it right side up. I'm going to get rid of both of those so that everything's the same size. And you know what, I'm going to save one of those in case I decide to use the circle again. Alright, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it. And I am going to zoom back out just a little so I can select all of those. And I'm going to align at the top. And I think I need them to be just a hair closer together. There's a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to pick everything and scoot it over one. And I'm just going to now I'll pick all but the first two, scoot them over one, all but those three, and I'm just gradually moving everything over till I know that there's a good connection between all of those pieces. So that's pretty good. Let's see, how wide is this now? It is only 3.5 inches, so let me grab a couple more of these. I'm going to slide myself over a little bit. Grab 3, just feels like a good number. Duplicate those, and then I'm just going to kind of roughly move them up here. And let's go ahead and select everything and make sure it's all aligned properly at the top or the bottom. You can do that either way. And then just to make sure my spacing's even, I'm going to distribute horizontally. And it doesn't look like it changed anything, so we're good. So again, with everything selected, I'm going to, well, first I'm going to duplicate this so that I have a spare copy over here. And then I'm going to select everything and I'm going to combine and weld. So there we've got our one row of fish scales. Now I may decide that I want to bring these in a little bit more closer to each other, but we'll test this first and see. So I'm going to make a copy of this, and then I'm just going to bump it up. Let's see, we want to kind of center it. Like so. And maybe even a little bit more. Okay, so then that's good right there. So I'm going to select all of that and I'm going to group it together. I'm going to duplicate it a couple more times. Hold on just a moment, there's somebody at the door. Alright, sorry about that. I had some bobbins for my Kumihimo come in, so I needed to go check on them because my husband's in there putting together something in the living room and he's sitting on the floor. And it's not easy for us to get up from the floor. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I think I will pick all of that and duplicate it. Then we'll come down and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can get it all in the screen here. And we're going to select it and see what our size is. So now I've got 5 1/4 by 3.325. So I could definitely do one more row of those. Or a couple rows of them. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more. I guess it boils down to really how big you want your stencil. I'm actually going to be working on a smaller object, so I may not actually want my stencil this big. So let's see what we've got here, and I didn't get everything. There we go. Let's try that again. So that's almost 5.5. Let's see if we can just take off this bottom row or two. And that might actually be a good size. 5.2 to 4.75. So I think I can work with that. So I'm going to take and I'm going to align everything by first I'm going to align it to the left. There we go. And then I'm going to, let's try and do distribute vertically. I don't think it'll work. Well, maybe it did. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and weld all of this together. So combine and weld. So this would still need a border. So let me show you how you would do that. You would take a square or, you know, some kind of shape. Squares generally work best for me. We're going to duplicate that one. We're going to put it over the top here. Actually, I'm going to unlock my proportions. And then I'm going to send this to the back. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to take this square and I'm going to duplicate that. Actually, what is my measurements? I like nice square measurements, no pun intended. I'm going to make this 5.75 and we'll make this 5.25. Just again, just because. So I'm going to duplicate this and then I'm going to shrink it. So we're going to make it, I'm going to do it 5.25 by 4.75. And the reason is I like a nice wide border so that I'm not having to tape it off. So I'm going to select both of these black squares. I'm going to align and center, and then I'm going to slice. And we'll pull this over, and looky there. So now it doesn't quite fit. I've made it a little bit too big, but I think I can just shrink it down. So let's just change this now to well, it's locked. Okay, so 5.5, what does that give me? Let's change it again to 2.5. Oh, didn't mean to do that. All right, let's pull it off there. All right, so now I'm going to center everything. Align and center. And I like it, except for, I'm going to zoom in so I can show you better. I like it except for these little half circles up here, not even half circles, quarter scales, and these down here. So I'm going to see if I can't just move it, just the scales. Oops, I guess we'll do the frame instead. And we're, okay, I like that better. So we are going to go with that. So I'm going to select all of this and weld. And I'm going to zoom back out, and there we have our stencil. So I will cut that out of, I mean, you could cut it out of anything. If you're going to just make it, you just want it temporarily, it's not something you're going to want to reuse over and over again, you could even cut it out of cardstock. I usually cut mine out of some kind of mylar, is that the right word? Plastic, like those back to school little notebooks, those flimsy, colorful little notebooks. That's what I usually use. And because I can see where I might want this again in the future, that's probably what I will use. But I also wanted to say you could also cut it out of vinyl. If you're going to use it as a stencil, you'll want to use removable vinyl, but you could certainly do that as well. So you have options. So, but that's the first one, and that was used in the circle shape, which I was going to try and resize, but it's not letting me. There we go. I'll just do it that way. Pull it back up here. So it would essentially work the same way with these ovals and the pill shape. These I think are, these two here I think are essentially the same shape. Let's see. It's just that one of them squared off. All right, let's just turn it 90 degrees. I think they're pretty, no, not quite. They're a little different, but they're pretty similar. I'm going to make this one like a light color so you can see the background. So yeah, it's a little different, but not a lot. It's pretty similar. Pretty similar indeed. So you wouldn't really want to use both of those. But this oval is different. So I'm going to flip this one 90 degrees and just show you real quickly kind of what that would look like. I'm going to get rid of one of these. I'm going to make this smaller. Pull it over here. We're going to put this over here out of the way. We're going to save this little piece. And so for this one, I'm just going to copy that so I don't have to try to save it later. So I'm going to zoom back in, and I'm going to make another copy. So duplicate that again, and I'm going to make this 2.25. And we'll change the color to make it easier to see. And I'm going to center it. So if you center it, you know what? I'm going to duplicate this. First, let's center it. Align and center. I'm going to duplicate it because I want to show you something else. So if you do this, you align and center and then slice, you will get this very perfectly shaped border. But if you want something a little different, a little bit more interesting, actually I'm going to undo that and I'm just going to use my arrow keys to move it down. And then I'll zoom in a little bit more. Do you see how that kind of gives you a broader piece there? A broader border, if you will. Just adds a little bit of interest. So let's slice that one as well. And we'll put those over there and look at what you get. So those are kind of cool. We're going to zoom back out. We're in and out, in and out. I'm going to take this one. Let's put these both at the top, so I can cut them both at the same time. So a line at the top. Then this one, I'm going to stretch this one out this way. And we'll put it like right here-ish, somewhere right in here. And I don't think it'll let us slice all of them, no. So you're going to have to slice one at a time. So slice, and then slice. And then we take this away. And there you've got your scales. So again, those are upside down for me, so I'm going to flip vertical. And you see how this one's heavier at the bottom than it is here on the sides? I kind of like that look. But if you don't, then just do it the way we did the first one, so that it's more even. It really just depends on you. I will say that this look, I think, is a little bit more pronounced on some of the fancier shapes that kind of come to a point and stuff, but those aren't free shapes in Design Space. Now, you could always import one if you've got one saved on your computer somewhere. You've got a digital file that's got a fancy border that you want to try this with. I've done that. So, you know, you have options. Okay, so you may be thinking, what's with the heart? Well, let's just take a look. I'm actually going to make two of those. I'm going to shrink these up a little bit. And I'm going to just, let me grab that again. I don't know why it keeps changing. Yeah. All right, we'll just do you one at a time then. So I'm going to set this file, I'm going to set the link for this. I'll put the link for this in the Facebook group, and you can receive it, you know, just, it's free if you want to use it. Otherwise, it's just consider this a learning tutorial to show you how to make your own. I've done, like I said, I've done them before, but anytime I'm doing something like this, I like to show another video because you just don't know what people are going to pick up on or when they're going to pick up on it. And stencils are useful for a lot of things. They're even card making, which is why I want to make one more permanent. Painting, obviously, you know, different mixed media stuff. So there's a number of reasons to use stencils. You can even use stencils not just with paint or ink, but you can use them if they're sized appropriately in your die cutting machines. If you use the right sandwich layer, you can turn them into embossing folders, or not folders, but they'll help emboss your paper. So there's a lot of reasons to make these more durable, but that's just my personal thought on it. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. Actually, well, that's okay. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. Let's go 2.25. No, what was it? I've forgotten already. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's already 2, so we'll make it 1.75. And then we're going to change the color just so you can see it better. Now this one isn't going to center properly because of the way it's shaped. So you are going to have different thicknesses in different parts of your design, and that's okay. So let's enlarge this. Well, I don't want to enlarge it. I want to center it. Let's center it, and I will just enlarge our screen here. And then I'm going to make another copy of it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to select both pieces and I'm going to slice. and pull this away and pull this away. And then with this one, I'm going to move it just like we did the other one, but you don't want to move it too far. And I'm going to slice, because you don't want these to get too thin. Now if you're using the plastic folders or some other kind of, I think it's called Mylar, I don't know. Anyway, if you're using that, you can get it thinner, but with some materials you'll want it a little thicker. So I'm going to delete those, and you can see that this is a heavier or thicker border here. So I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take another one of these, and I've got a couple ideas floating around in my head, which is why I keep pausing. That would look funny as a scale. I thought that might work, but it really doesn't. But this does. So I'm going to take another one of those there, and we're going to do it this way. So slice, and here's a scale. We're going to get rid of all that, and let's do the same thing over here. So right about there, and slice. Now these probably aren't going to end up looking all that different, other than one's a little thicker, one's a little thinner. I was really focused on the top part of it when I did it, so I think I'm just going to get rid of this one, but you can see how it's going to look. So this now is way too wide. I need it to be 0.25 because I'm looking for smaller scales. Maybe I'll go 0.5. That seems 0.25 seems really small. Oops. It helps if I could hit the right buttons on my keyboard. Alright, so we'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And we're just going to do this the same way, so I'm not going to go through all the steps, but what I am going to do is I'm going to kind of just let you get an idea for what it will look like. So let me zoom back out now, because I've gone crazy. Alright, so we're going to select all of them, and then align them at the top. And look at how that looks. So we're going to zoom back in here for a second, because I want to make sure they're touching. And they are, but I'd like them to be touching a little bit more. So let's come over this way and select everything except that first one. I'm going to move it over 2. So I'm going to select everything but the first 2 and move it over 2. And then if it'll let me unselect that, and it's not. Okay, so we're going to select everything but those 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Oops. And 1, 2. So now if we combine everything or weld it, you can see you've got the beginnings of your scales here. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then we're just going to pull it up to where it would look something like this. And I just kind of want to see, yeah, I think that'll work. What I'm checking out is, I don't know how high this will let me enlarge, that's it. I want to make sure that this top here on this bottom row isn't poking out here on either side, and it's not. So I'm going to group those. Let's zoom back out, and I'm going to duplicate. It kind of looks like chain link fence, actually, doesn't it? And so we're going to select everything and just align it to the left or the right. Take your pick. Now you can see we're going to have to go a little bit. We're going to have to move some of these down a little bit. because I don't like this look here. So it looks like 4, maybe 5 will get it. Let's do 5. Oops, I don't want both of those. Oops, I do want both of those. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? There we go. So that actually looks more like a chain link fence or fish scale, or not fish scales, net, like a fish net. So that's, you know, you play with it and you see what you get. I'm going to zoom back out of there because I'm not going to keep that one. I don't, well, you know what, I will. In case somebody wants it, I will combine. But actually, I'm just going to group it for now, and then I'll leave it out there and you can do whatever you want with it. Where did everything else go? Am I clear over here? No? Maybe it was further over. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so that was the heart. What I wanted to show you was with this heart, see how this one, this is not the free one, by the way. This one kind of curves in and out. I think that would make a lovely dragon scale, so we're going to duplicate it. We're going to shrink it down to 1.5, and we're going to center the two of them. We're going to slice it, and then we'll see what we got. So we're going to take another one of these squares, and I'm going to get rid of those. And we're going to enlarge this. So I want to go up to kind of right about there, I think. And we'll slice that one. And these are actually carbon copies, so I'll keep those. I'll get rid of that. And you can see that that looks more like fish scales. So if we take and we align those at the top, and I'm wondering if I can pull this over a little bit more. I'm going to change the color of one because I want to see what's behind or in front of. So I can't see any of that behind this black one, and now I can see a little bit of it. So I'll just pull that back over one. So that looks good. So we'll zoom back out, and I am going to, I'm going to save a copy of that. I didn't do that on the last one, but I also didn't weld it, all of it, so you might be able to get one of those shapes back. If not, you can definitely duplicate it. So I'll put this up here with these others. And, oops, didn't mean to do that. We're going to select it. I'm just resizing it right now, so the width would be 1 inch. That's what I'm going with. So then you're going to want to duplicate these. And I'm going to, since I didn't combine them or anything, I'm just going to kind of do this the hard way. Whoa. And this last one, we're just going to put it over here. Okay, so I want to align everything at the top. And listen, you don't have to do that. If you want to place each scale manually and kind of resize it manually to get more of a organic look, so it's not so uniform and precise, you can certainly do it that way. Alright, so we're going to align these at the top. There, that made a difference. So now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to come back over here to the edge, and these two can come over one more. No, they can't actually. Well, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay, so everything else looks good. So we'll zoom back out, and I'm going to group it. Now I'm going to weld it. Weld. And then we'll select it and make a couple copies of that. And what you're going to do then is you're going to line them up like this. Which this also kind of looks like chain link now that I'm looking at it. So, or a fishnet, but it's just a fancier shape. So you get the idea. Now, if you wanted to, I welded everything, so we're not going to be able to do it with those. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to kind of rough finish placing this, so if anybody wants it, they'll have it. But what I will probably do is do some grouping of some of this stuff that I haven't finished, and then hide it. So that's how you'll find it. It'll be hidden. So I'm going to group all that. Let's just group it. And I'm going to put it with this one up here. And actually, let's zoom out a little bit. I'm going to put it with all of these. So those are now going to be grouped, and then I'm going to hide them. But they're there if anybody wants them. And so really that only leaves, I mean, I think you get the idea how this one works, but that leaves this. And you could, the beauty of this one is you can use the top or the bottom half. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I say that, I always say, let's do that real quick. And then it turns out to take longer than I intended. I'm going to make this 2. I'm going bigger this time. Select them both. Align, center, slice. So here's your shape. And I don't need that one. And again, you could offset your smaller piece to, or larger piece to make your border bigger or wider. That's completely up to you. So I'm going to take and enlarge this. I kind of want it to go like that maybe. I don't know, we'll see. So let's give that a slice. So yeah, that's more like the first piece that we had. And those would just go like that. This actually to me looks more like a dragon scale. So I'm going to flip that vertically. And we're going to get rid of this piece over here. So if we took a bunch of these, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Let's get us a clean canvas and duplicate those. I don't want to go down that far because okay, so then we're going to align them all at the top. Now that's a cool design, but that's not what we're trying to make. But wouldn't that be a pretty fancy border edge, like a lacy piece or something? So I'm going to just start moving some of these over, but I'm going to enlarge it so we can kind of see what I'm doing. And again, you can move these manually if that's what you want to do. There we go. Once I align things, I kind of generally like to keep them lined up, but it doesn't always work out. Oops, I think that's the wrong one. Yep, I got one too many. Now the thing I didn't do on these was I didn't resize them to make them smaller, which is why they're not lining up as nicely as some of the other ones did. Okay, let's zoom out. How many have we done here? Oh, not many. All right, let's do another one or two. Oh, that's not right. Now I'm going to have to align it again. Oh well. And I didn't get that other one lined up very well either, so I'm going to pull that one over a little further. That one over a little more. There we go. Move this one again a little more. I'm going to save one of those, and I'm going to get rid of both of these. Alright, so I'm going to align it at the top. I'm going to combine and weld, and then I'm going to duplicate it, and we're just going to kind of pull those down a little bit, and then you'd line them up something like this. And there you get your dragon scales, which could also be mermaid scales. It just depends on how fancy your mermaid is. She might be from a different tribe or community or ethnicity, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, so her scales might look a little different, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can tell that the alignment's not perfect, but since I'm not really going for this look, well, I'm here. Let's just do it. Let's see. How does that look now? That looks pretty good. Let's try this one. I mean, I wasn't too far off. Okay. So that's obviously, this is just a small one, and although it's measuring 16 inches wide, let's make it 4 inches wide. There we go. Now we can zoom in a little bit more. So you can make those thicker or thinner, however you want to do it, but I'm just going to group them right now and zoom back out, and I will put these in with the other grouped hidden stuff, and if I can find it, oh, there it is. Okay, now I gotta move that back out of the way. So I'm gonna pull this up here, this up here. I'll save one of those, get rid of one. Well, you know what? I cannot save this one, because if I do, anybody without access won't be able to access the file. So you know what? I'm going to get rid of it. I'm sorry, but I showed you how to do it, so you know. And I think I have to get rid of that too. Let me zoom back in. All right, I know I have to get rid of this and this. Let's go back over. Let's move you over now, since we got rid of so much. Yeah, that's got that curvy bottom, so I can't keep that either, which means I've got to get rid of it. Oh, hang on. I got to ungroup it first. I got to get rid of this too. Otherwise, people without an access subscription will not be able to access it. So sorry about that. But I will save this one, because you can certainly use that one. Alright, so anyway, these are the shapes we used. I'm going to group and hide all of that, just so that it looks nice and neat and clean. And there's your, I'm going to put it right there. There's your stencil. And we'll go to 100. And then we'll go over. I want it nice and centered, so when you open it up, it just looks special. Alright, so there you go, guys. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I answer them as soon as I see them, and I try to see them quickly, but I don't always catch them. Depends on what's going on. I will share this again in my Facebook group. and it's a freebie, so help yourself, enjoy it, and let me know if you make something with it. I would love to see it. You can post pictures on the, did I say Facebook group? I'm putting them on the Facebook page. I'm trying not to use the group. I'm just trying to use the page. So it'll be on the Facebook page, but you can share your pictures there. You know, I'd love to see what you guys are doing. And if it doesn't let you, let me know, and I'll do what I can to correct that. So anyway, guys, I guess really the last thing we need to do is to save this. So let's do a save. ECS and Mermaid scales. And this will go down here under stencils. So save. So that's what it's going to be called, ECS for Expressions Craft Studio, Mermaid Scale Stencil. And I'm going to have to cut one out, but I'm not going to do it today because I've got some other stuff to do, but I did want to make it real quick so I didn't forget. So let me know what you think. If you make one, I'd love to see it. If you have any questions, I'd love to do, I'll do my best to answer them. And so until next time, guys, I hope you have a happy, crafty day.